Okay, so people have asked my thoughts on the Vince McMahon allegations. Keyword there, from a legal perspective, is to call them allegations. So a couple ground rules. One, if you want to hear a lot about this, story time with Dutch Mantel, the person who helps, I guess, facilitate that, James, has done a pretty good job reading a lot of the legal paperwork for it. So if you want to hear a lot of the sordid details, he does a very good job with it. So currently there are two main defendants in this. One, John Laurinaitis, the other, Vince McMahon. Now, of course, with this, you have to say it's allegations because the legalese of it. This is also this is not a criminal trial. So this is still a civil trial, which basically means if Vince McMahon is found guilty of the things he is alleged to have perpetrated, he just pays money. This isn't one of those he's going to go to jail sort of things. Lots of disturbing things about this. One, Janelle Grant, the person who's bringing his suit up, is very similar in age to Stephanie. And given all of the alleged incidences where there are text messages, video clips, pictures, emails, it's quite disturbing that someone decided to do these sorts of things, allegedly, with someone who is roughly the age of their daughter. And so it looks similar to Stephanie. It's like, maybe. Which, knowing that Vince has also pushed the idea of, so when Stephanie was pregnant, he was like, oh, we should do an angle where I'm the father of your child. So the fact that he already pitched an incest angle with his daughter and then allegedly did lots of things over numerous years with someone the same age who looks similar to his daughter is quite disturbing. I do feel bad for a lot of the wrestlers who are asked to comment on this. You know, John Cena was like, I choose to love the person. It's like, okay, not the best take, but he's also trying to get a career in Hollywood. And, when you go home to one of your mansions and you realize that the person who does all these alleged crimes is somebody who helped to give you this life, it's a difficult spot to be in. Now, someone like Randy Orton and Seth Rollins were both kind of like, hey, if he did these things, okay, if he is guilty of the alleged crimes, he deserves to pay for it. Which, from the bare bones standpoint, if he has done the things that he is alleged to have done, then yes, throw the book at him. Do I think this will make it to trial? Knowing the amount of money that Vince has, he's already been booted off of TKO, which, good. It makes sense. It's like, we can't have someone with all these allegations on our board, knowing that he was pretty much brought back on to facilitate this transfer. The discussion of how much other people know. I think lots of people knew Vince was into some stuff, but to what extent, that's a person-to-person basis. John Laurinaitis claiming he is a victim. Now, that does add more weight to the allegations. But knowing what John Laurinaitis was allegedly involved in, some of these things did involve Vince's participation, allegedly, for some, if not all, of said alleged things. But there are also times when Laurinaitis allegedly was involved in things in a one-on-one capacity. So, you can push, Vince's cult of depravity if you want to, but if you are allegedly involved in incidences of a similar nature, but it is a one-on-one environment, brainwashed cult of personality, whatever you want to call it, you still chose to do these things by yourself, allegedly. A record for how many times the word allegedly is used in this video. You know, I think this probably won't go to trial. I think there's enough money being thrown around that this probably won't go anywhere. If it does, there is always the possibility that if he is found guilty, something that's called liable. You know, it's like you have been found that you have done these things, but it's not a criminal case. You're not going to go to prison, even though some of the alleged charges could be considered trafficking, and those could eventually lead to going from a civil suit to a criminal case. Can I still watch WWE? Yeah, it's, you know, Vince created the company, but the company's vastly bigger than any one individual. You know, and it's done a lot better on Triple H's control. When Triple H was asked about it during the Royal Rumble press conference, I think he's probably in one of the worst positions, being that he married into the family. That is his father-in-law. That is, you know, Papa to his kids. How do you discuss those things? It is very, very honest that, you know, around the time of the Royal Rumble, when all this stuff was really coming out, or when it was starting to come out, I should say, you know, there's a good chance that he asked the lawyers, he was like, do I want to know? And lawyers probably went, no, you don't want to know. Okay. How would you go home to your wife, who is the daughter of all these alleged heinous acts, and be like, hey, babe, how's it going? You read them, didn't you? Yeah. Have you read? No. I do not want to know what my dad allegedly did with someone who is my age, who looks kind of like me. I know Wrestling Bios has talked about this, where he's doing the Monday Night Wars. He said, I can't remove Vince McMahon from things. Like, yes, you can't remove him from the history of WWE because he's done a lot of things. A lot of things. He was in a lot of storylines. Austin McMahon then becomes Austin. Taking on who? Faking. Moving for things going forward? Yep. Zero problems with that. No issue in the world being like, hey, we're not talking about McMahons anymore. Do I think Stephanie will come back to the company? Stephanie left around the time of some of these incidences, allegedly. But also around the time when her husband had a heart attack. So I think she was trying to unplug from the corporate culture anyways. There might have been whispers of these things, and she just wanted to not be around it. Of course, she ended up coming back for a little while, and then her dad came back, and then she left again. I think she and Shane are both in a horrible position. If these alleged things have happened, that's your dad. You know, as crazy as you might view him, which also means that Attitude Era Vince allegedly was, you know, Vince in the 2020s. If this goes to trial and he is found guilty of his alleged crimes, hey, I hope she gets everything she wants. Do I think Linda's going to divorce Vince? No, there's no reason to. Given how old Vince is, by the time they'd go through the proceedings and get all this straightened away, you might as well just bide your time. I highly doubt that Linda and Vince have spent much time in the same room or even like the same bedroom for probably several decades. Vince has had alleged improprieties from back in, like, you know, that's been documented and talked about since like the 80s. So I'm pretty sure she knows that Vince might have certain appetites, allegedly, and chooses not to partake. But hey, do you go through a messy divorce, or do you just, you know, live at opposite wings of the house? he's found guilty, if there's alleged crimes and misdemeanors, cool. Take him to the cleaners. If there's enough smoke with this to become the fire of a criminal trial, cool. Do I think it'll go that far? You know, a civil has a certain level of here's what you have to do, where a criminal trial has a much higher bar to get any sort of, you know, conviction and guilty verdict. There's also someone who's named in the suit. That alleged person is a former UFC World Heavyweight Champion, which corresponds to why we're not seeing a certain person showing up, and it's been kind of removed from WWE. If that person's also involved, hey, his involvement is less direct. It seems to be more like he allegedly was offered the ability to partake, but ended up not partaking. There's also a few reps that are potentially involved in some other higher ups. So, if you're ready to see it go to trial, just have all this stuff aired out in public, with attorneys involved and lawyers and all the legalese. Given the money that's involved, and it's of course being a civil suit, I could see it probably not. I could see it being settled out to court for, you know, some vastly large sum of money. But I view it less as a black eye in the WWE and more of a black eye for the McMahons and Laurinaitis, if these things all allegedly happened, as the allegations have put forth. So, you know, with that, I'm almost at work now, so I guess it's as good a time as any to wrap up this video. This is one I didn't really want to do, but I had some DMs and I had some people throw it out in the comments. So those are my thoughts. Again, if all these things allegedly happened, Vince McMahon is pretty much a horrible individual. If this does make it to civil trial, I hope that, you know, she gets everything that she wants and deserves. And with that, I've pulled into my parking lot.